Right, I was just driving and I heard that the verdict for Ricky Jones, the Labour councillor, that last August, if you remember, he was the guy that did that across his throat and caught. Well, I'll say what he said, but if you say certain things within the first 30 seconds of the video, mate, they'll take them down. They won't like them up. Now I'm going to compare Ricky Jones. I'm going to be so careful what I say on this now, haven't I? Ricky Jones, you may notice, has a different skin colour to me. I'm going to go there with that. Because Lucy Connolly, strange enough, has the same skin colour to me. Lucy Connolly went down for 31 months, mate, and she's out, I believe, the 25th of... I've just sat and just written down exactly, I've got on YouTube, just written down, I'm angry about this. I've written down exactly what they both said. We can have a chat about it, and it won't take long. Won't take long. Right, I can say it now. This is what Ricky Jones says. And the Labour councillor, August last year, was in a crowd of anti-fascist protesters. They were going up against, if you can believe this, they were going up against people that were out to support the young girls that have been killed in the Southport riots. And these, for some reason, they were calling these people fascists. I don't know. What Ricky Jones said, in a crowd where Ricky Jones was amplified, he was on a microphone, remember, this is so important to acknowledge this. He was in a crowd, he was on a microphone, he's a person in the community who is supposed to be respected, and he made a hand gesture of cutting his throat. He said,
they are disgusting, nasty fascists, and we need to cull their throats and get rid of them all.
That's what he said, and he went like that. And then people around them were like, oh, it's amazing. Like that kind of level of bullshit happened, right? He's just been found not guilty of, the charge was not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. I'll just go through that quote again. They are disgusting Nazi fascists, and we need to cut all their throats. And he was found not guilty of encouraging violent disorder. Right, fine. The law's a complicated thing. Let's look at what Lucy Connolly said. Lucy Connolly had a couple of tweets, but one of them was mass deportations now. Set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bastards for all I care. If that makes me a racist, so be it. She had another quote where she put the government in there and politicians as well. Now, the judge for this was a guy called Melbourne Iman, His Honour Judge Melbourne Iman, QC. He is retiring in the 1st of July 25, so he's retired already, apparently. And he said, and I'm not even joking when he said this, he said the sentence was intended to punish and deter with Lucy Connolly. That doesn't seem to be the case with Ricky Jones. Ricky Jones could say what he wants from a position of responsibility. Remember, no one was really following Lucy Connolly. It was on Twitter she said that. 31 months in prison she got. And remember, here's the critical thing you need to know about this. This is so important. Lucy Connolly was advised to plead guilty, whereas Ricky Jones pleaded not guilty. Well, there you are, isn't it? If you plead guilty, you'll get a 40%, no, you'll get a 30% reduction in your sentence. A third of the sentence off is what you'll get. Now, if you get sent down, you'll spend 40% of that sentence in jail. So Lucy Connolly comes out, I think, on the 25th of August this year. How soon is that? Pretty soon, like 10 days, whatever. Lucy Connolly had a family. She has a family. She has a husband and she has some children. She's a mum. And remember, Lucy Connolly was suffering from PTSD because one of her kids died. And she blamed a lot of the NHS staff, who were heavily minority, she says, for that, because they sent the child home and the child had, I think, a breathing issue and the child died at home. I'm going to be very careful what I say here, because I don't want this about being racial. I want this to be about people who can say something and people who can't say something, and people who seem to be ethnic British, or I prefer to say ethnic English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish. That's the heritage. You can't say anything. Now, David Starkey says something interesting about this. You want to watch some of David Starkey. He says a lot of it is to do with a liberal democracy. He says this is to do with the fact that in the liberal democracy that we now have, in law, we see the minorities as less privileged and therefore needing more support than the indigenous British people. And therefore, we allow them to come in. Anyone that applies to come in can come in. They're going to get hotels, they're going to get food, they're going to get accommodation, they're going to get jobs, they're going to get benefits. That's what it is. See, I think the government could look at this video here and say, Tim is inciting like some kind of racial hatred or something. And that's not a worry for me, because you got to do time. I don't want that to be part of my life, but I don't want to live a life where I'm not able to speak out for what I think is right. And what I think is right is that Ricky Jones should have gone to jail, mate. They are disgusting Nazi fascists, and we need to cut all their throats. How on earth? I just cannot. If you're watching this from like America, where you genuinely have a freedom of speech that we do not have in this country, this should be shocking to you, mate. And it's shocking to us in the UK as well. He's not guilty for saying that. When he was on microphone, I'll put the quote in here, I'll put the clip in here. He had a crowd around him that was clapping him like bloody seals, mate. And he made the hand gesture. Lucy Connolly put a tweet out with 0 followers. She didn't, well, I don't know. I don't know if it said 0 followers. I'll make that. What I'm saying is she wasn't a Labour politician. You know what I mean? She was a housewife with PTSD. She was a British woman that was suffering, and she got 31 months in jail. There's something fundamentally wrong with this, and I struggle. The judge said you intended to incite serious violence. This is Lucy Connolly. Encouraged activity which threatened or endangered life. No one was listening to her, mate. She was retweeted a few times. People saw her tweet, but we're not idiots, right? We're not going to go and, we're not going to do what she says. Who is she anyway? Whereas with Ricky Jones, when he says they are disgusting Nazi fascists, he says that we need to cut all their throats. That's what he said as a Labour politician. I just find that incredible. Am I wrong? Hit the comments and tell me, guys, because I struggle with this. Because what this does, I won't keep you long, it sets a precedent, mate, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It sets a precedent. It says, I'm going to open the door here because it's ninja hot in here. It sets a precedent, and it just says, look, you can do this. You can get away with this if you want. You can say things if you're on one side. You can't say them if you're on the other side. Do you know what I mean? You pick your side. Okay, well, as long as I'm on the side of Labour, I can say whatever I want. As long as I'm talking about Nazi fascists, I can say what I want. But if we start criticising the government, or you talk about immigration, and this is what this Online Safety Act is about, isn't it? Masked up that we can't allow children to look at porn. No one denies that. That's all good. But you can't talk about immigration. We saw in the Prevent guidance, didn't we? Where Prevent said that, the exact words escape me. I do apologise. I put it in another video I put before this. But if you have an issue with immigration, or you believe that immigrants are going to replace the white population, then that puts you on the Prevent Terror list. It's just something that I didn't ever think would happen. This is how it gets around. By the time we wake up to it, guys, it's too late, right? I don't know what the answer is. If you know what the answer is, put it in the comments. People say, what's the answer, Tim? Well, the answer was to keep to the immigration levels we had when Cameron said it was going to be 50,000 a year. And if this is the thing, ask your parents or ask your wife or your husband what they think immigration levels are. This is an eye-opener for you. A lot of people think they're 50 to 70,000 a year. They don't realise they're 700,000, a million in 2023. They don't know that. Don't get into an argument, because we're here to educate people. We're not here to correct people. The last thing you want is a wife who's you've just proved wrong. There's nothing to gain from that. But the truth is, we've got to live with the facts, because the facts are the thing that's going to do us some damage, mate. And I just think we're in a really difficult place in the UK. I've got another video coming out at the same time as this one, and it talks about personal responsibility and what men need to do. And I'm very aware of the fact as well that my videos can be a bit sensationalist. I just show you clips, look at what I'm seeing. I don't want that to be the case. But also, I don't want people getting themselves in trouble by not being aware of what's happening to the country. And I think the case is that people could be in trouble by not realising what's happening to the country. So the key for all this, guys, for a start, don't plead guilty. You're going to have to suck up the extra third if you get done. Listen to your lawyer by all means. But you don't understand how the way the legal speak is, and nor do I. I'm not an expert at that. So you've got to have a lawyer to explain stuff to you. But they've got to say to you, look, if you plead guilty, you're going to get this term. There's no jury. You've got to go to a jury trial. That means the Crown Prosecution Service has to look at it and think, I've got a chance of actually securing a conviction on this. And the majority of the time they won't, because they're all backed up. So elect for a jury trial, jury of your peers. And be careful of the language of that as well. Jury trial, trial by jury, that kind of stuff. Make sure you understand what's happening. Get someone to explain it to you. But I would always go, personally, I would plead not guilty. And because you don't understand the term that's down there as well. So, you know, you're not guilty. So Lucy Connolly pleaded guilty to the sentence, which was that she intended, well, the sentence itself was stirring up racial hatred. She pleaded guilty to that. I don't think that woman's racist at all. But then you've got to look at those individual words. What does the word stirring mean? How do we define racial? And what is hatred? And there will be definitions of that. And you've got to look at it and go, was I intending to do that? Yes or no? And if you were, suck up the sentence, plead guilty, go to jail, fine, something a dickhead, right? But most people aren't doing that. But she pleaded guilty because she was probably told it would be a suspended sentence and she'd be home by the end of the day. And she wasn't. She's been in prison now, a 31-month sentence, because 3 years is the minimum for that, amazingly. 31 months she got. That was with a third off, obviously. I can't do the maths that quickly in my head. So that would be 36 months. She got a 31-month sentence. I don't know where that third went. Oh, there were exaggerating factors, whatever they call them. I can't remember. It's a legal talk. Because of some other stuff, like the time was, it was a volatile time and she knew it was volatile and some other rubbish that this judge cited. Oh, incredible. So, yeah, look at it. I'd plead not guilty. Let's go to trial. Let's go to trial. Suck it up. And if I'm wrong and you find me guilty, if my peers find me guilty, I'll do that extra third sentence. I'll suck it up by doing 1,000 burpees a day and come up ripped up. By the way, don't think that, I know people that have come out of prison, don't think that prison is necessarily that place where you can go and get, you know, your elite body. It's not like that. It's a hard place. You don't want to go there. A lot of it's run by Muslims and you're going to be in a bad place, mate. So let's not be dicks. That's the key to us right now. Let's not be dicks. Let's be proper men about this. Proper English men, English women, whatever you are, Welsh, Scottish, Irish as well. Let's think about this. People say to me, Tim, what do we do? And I'm like, you know what? I haven't worked it out yet. I haven't worked it out yet because let's not run into stuff, right? It's difficult. If you know what the answer is, write the answer down there. Personally, I believe, as you know, it's fitness, family, finance, fuel and faith. You've got to make yourself an absolute weapon, mate. And not just in the body, but in the mind. I'm not talking about going out there fighting. I'm talking about how you think. You've got to get some clarity on these subjects. I've said it before. I've got another video coming out today about this. Just think about what you're putting in your body. You know, you've got habits you might not need to do. You know what I mean? How are you treating people around you? How are you thinking? You know, what are you doing about thinking? You know, that's the thing, isn't it? Make sure you're getting some money in as well, hitting the gym, and then start thinking about, you know, what it means to be a better you, all right? Because we're going to need the best of all of us to get over this. We're not coming out of this one alive. There's going to be massive, massive, I can't even say the words, but there's going to be things that happen, and we're going to have to, you know, step up. It's not going to be pleasant. You're not going to, as I always said, you're not going to get the revolution you want. We're going to get the revolution we need. And what does that mean? And even talk like that, you know, allegedly, I'm not even saying the revolution. I'm not inciting violence, guys, you know that. You know, it's a figure of speech, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we do that at all. There's no point because, as I said before, you overthrow one government, next government comes in. They're no better, are they? I'm talking about community. You know that, right? Absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific that you can say things like that. And that's all right. I'll just read out what he said again, and then we'll go. They are disgusting Nazi fascists, and we need to cut all their throats. What kind of country are we living in, mate? What kind of country are we actually living in where people can say, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just absolutely raging about that. All right, have a great weekend, all right?